What's up, guys? This is our fantasy football recap video. But before we get into it, I just want to say thank you to you all for all the kind messages you've sent me about JC. Uh, it's been really tough, but you guys have really helped out. Speaking of helping out, I've been doing things to take my mind off of it. So I thought, what's better to take my mind off of it than doing our weekly fantasy football video? So thank you guys, and let's get right into it because we did have a pretty crazy week in fantasy to make things a little bit more interesting for this last week. Look, we're going to go over the matchups real quick, and then we're going to look at the standings because that's the interesting part. So, first off, we had Josh versus Justin. Josh had the highest points ever for a quarterback in Josh Allen, and he still lost to Justin. The big reason is Justin got 35 plus from Addison. He also got 35 plus from Puka Nacua, which helped carry him to 182 points, which was a lot of points, and that's a really, really key factor that I'll get to in just a second. So Justin takes down Josh. He stays in the playoff hunt. Titty Sucker versus ICU. Tim destroys Cal. He needed the win, and he put up a decent amount of points, 162. So it was a really, really big game from Tim. He gets the dub when he needed it. Next game, Denny versus Matt. This was our game of the week. And wow, did it come down to the wire. Denny takes the victory, gets it by a point and a half with a CeeDee Lamb catch in the final few minutes of that game last night. And the winner of this game clinched the playoffs. So Denny is officially in. Matt is still fighting for his life. He didn't put up a lot of points either, which, like I said, I'll get into in just a second. Next game was Ryan versus Cass. Cass put up 158 points, which is not bad, but Ryan almost set the record for points in a week with 216. His team went off, and Ryan's team's looking really scary right now. He picked up Isaac Guerrero. He did really good. Jamar Chase, like I said, looks like the best fantasy football player going right now. He continued that this week. His team is just rocking right. I mean, Chase Brown, he has the Bengals stack, and somehow they only score with Chase or Brown. Or Chase Brown. Um, so that was the game. Ryan got a big victory, and he scored a lot of points. So final game, this was a battle of two teams that were kind of out of it. Jace takes down Pat, but they're both out of the playoff picture. So those are the results. The biggest thing here, not only did certain teams win, but certain teams scored a lot of points. So we're going to get to the standings right now real quick before we get into the games coming up. So we're going to say our certainties first. Cass, Pat, Cal, Jace. Guys, it's been a great season, but you guys are officially done. Especially it sucks for Cass. He's our Super Bowl champion, and he's not even going to get a chance to defend it. It's sad sight. Steve Harvey's pants in 10th place, going from 1st to 10th. Don't know if we've ever had that before, but it's been a rough year for Cass. But those four teams are officially out. The other two certainties is Josh and Denny are clinched. They are officially in, and they are clinched to the 1 and 2 seed, mind you, unless there's a huge point disparity. I guess I should say that's not 100% true. If for some reason Tim and Matt win and they outscore Josh and Denny by like 90 points, then they can move down to the 3 and the 4. But they're officially in, and probably the 1 and the 2 seed. So now we get to the real interesting part. We have the 3rd and the 4th playoff spot. It's being fought for by 4 people: Matt, Tim, Ryan, and Justin. It's real easy for Matt and Tim. They win, they're in. They win and in. But Ryan, because he put up so much points this week, he gained 80 points. He gained 80 points on Matt. He looked like he was out of it just because his point total was so low, but he had a huge week this week. So now he's over 2,000 points. Justin, he even passed Justin by 2 points. So Justin and Ryan are tied at 7 and 7. If they both win and one of Tim or Matt loses, they can jump them. Now, the big thing here is even if Tim and Matt lose, they still have a point lead over them. So Tim would have to be outscored by 20-ish points, and Matt would have to be outscored by about 60 points. So Matt is sitting pretty comfortable. I mean, even if he loses, odds are of Justin or Matt outscoring him by 60. Now, it just happened this week, so it could happen again if Ryan or Justin go off. But Matt's the comfortable one. The one that's not comfortable is Tim. And we're going back to that week 2 game. 2 yards between Matt and Tim. 2 yards was the difference. And that right now is the difference between Tim having clinched a playoff spot and Matt fighting for his life. So every yard counts in fantasy. So that's our current playoff spot. The points were so big this week, and Justin put up almost 190. Ryan put up 216. It really, really made things interesting for this last week. Now, speaking of interesting, we're going to get to the games for this next week real quick. Huge game. We're going to start with Ryan because he's fighting for his life. Obviously, he has to win. He's been in the playoffs pretty much the last 2 weeks because he's had to win every game. And he's facing our first place team in Josh. This is going to be an insane game. These guys have a crazy history. They are always battling late into the season. Both really good players. Josh had a lot of buys last week. He gets his full team back. There's no more buys the rest of the year. And Ryan's been so hot with his Bengals. So not only does Ryan have to beat Josh, but he has to score a lot of points. So this is going to be an insane matchup. I can't wait to see. Josh is clinched, but he's definitely not going to rest any of his players this week. He's going to try to give Ryan a really good matchup. Next game, Tim, who we just said has to win, technically. Now, he doesn't have to win because he can still lose and not be outscored by Tim. Like, if Tim loses on a bad beat where he scores 180 points, he's probably still in. But anyway, Tim plays Cass, who's our last place team. So Tim is sitting in a great spot right now. He's playing technically the worst team in the league in a must-win game. Tim's team's still really good. He had to be excited seeing Justin Jefferson finally come out of his shell. Hopefully he can keep that rolling into the playoffs. But Tim plays Cass this week in a huge game. Next, Denny versus Justin. Denny, like I said, is already clinched. He's also not going to rest his players. It's against Justin. Justin has to win, and Justin has to put up a lot of points. Justin has to Justin has to outscore Tim by 22 points to have a chance at the playoffs. Then he has to beat Denny as well. So his team has to come and play, and they have to put up a good amount of points. Unfortunately for Justin, he's playing Denny. Denny's team's awesome. They've been awesome all year. So it's a really, really tough out for Justin. This matchup's going to be insane. Matt's sitting pretty comfortable. He has a decent point lead over those other two teams. And he's playing Jace. Jace's team's not the best. They're out of the playoffs. They have some heavy hitters, though. Either way, Matt needs to win this game, and he's in, just like Tim. But he needs to make sure to just score points. If Matt scores 160 points, he's in. He's in. There's almost no chance that I think Ryan is going to score 220 points again, or Justin scores 220 points. If Matt scores 160 points, that's his golden number. I think he's in. And our last game of the week is the only game of the week that has no playoff implications. It's Pat. It's Cal. Unfortunately, these two guys are out of it. They've had some decent spots this season, but Pat has been injured, riddled with injuries all year. Christian McCaffrey, Anthony Richardson, T. Higgins. His team finally looked like it was going to get healthy to make a late run. No, Christian McCaffrey got hurt again. So it's just been a year from hell for Pat. And Cal, he's had a pretty good team this year, but he's had some bad beats, and it just didn't fall right for him. So, guys, that's our fantasy recap. This week, the playoffs technically are here for everyone except for Josh and Denny. Their outcomes this week don't matter at all. But for those 4 other teams, the playoffs start this week. They start this Thursday because we have a game Thursday night. So I wish you guys the best. I hope everyone's team stays healthy. Don't want any players getting hurt, especially going into the playoffs. But most of all, thank you again, guys, for all the well wishes. You know I love you guys. Have a good day.